It was a crisp morning in Atlanta when a sharply dressed man stepped into a sleek, glass-walled car dealership, one that he happened to own. But instead of being greeted with respect, he was met with suspicion. Moments later, security was called. The staff didn't recognize him. To them, he was just another black man who didn't look like he belonged. What happened next turned into a lesson about race, assumptions, and the power of humility, and made headlines across the country. He walked past the rows of gleaming SUVs and luxury sedans, admiring the shine of the showroom floor, his showroom floor. But the glances started almost immediately. A young salesman near the front desk narrowed his eyes, whispered something to a colleague, and before long, a manager approached with tight lips and forced politeness. "Can I help you?" the manager asked, his tone suggesting anything but help. "I'm just looking around," the man replied calmly, his deep voice smooth but firm. "We typically serve clients by appointment only," the manager said, stepping slightly in front of him, as if to block further entry. "If you're not here to buy, I am," the man said. "In fact, I've already bought everything here." There was a pause, confused silence. Then came the kicker. "Sir, if you don't leave, I'll have to call security." It wasn't until the uniformed guard showed up, hand resting near his belt, that things began to escalate, and not in the way anyone expected. The billionaire, still composed, simply reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his wallet. Not to show an ID, but something far more surprising. He pulled out a slim, black leather wallet and slowly unfolded it. Inside wasn't cash or credit cards, but a company access badge with a photo, a name, and one unmistakable word in bold capital letters: owner. The security guard glanced at it, then looked at the man. His expression shifted, but the manager didn't notice. He was too busy speaking into his headset, saying, "Yeah, we've got a guy refusing to leave. Might be a problem." The man took a slow breath, his voice still calm. "You should call upstairs," he said. "Ask for Mr. Carter." The manager frowned. "Why? You know him or something?" "I am him." That's when the silence turned heavy, the kind that feels like gravity just shifted in the room. The salesman who had whispered earlier was now awkwardly staring at the floor. The security guard muttered something under his breath and took a discreet step back. And the manager? He was frozen in place, mouth slightly open, headset still live. Before anyone could say a word, the man walked past them and headed toward the office at the back. The frosted glass door had a nameplate: Malcolm Carter, CEO. He turned the handle and entered without another glance. But the story didn't end there, not even close, because what Malcolm found waiting on his desk, an envelope and signed, would change everything. Not just for him, but for the entire company. Malcolm closed the office door behind him. The noise from the showroom, awkward shuffling feet, nervous whispers, faded into silence. He stood still for a moment, taking in the familiar space. The mahogany desk, the vintage model cars lined neatly on the shelves, the framed photo of his mother on the wall. "Never forget where you came from," she used to say. Then his eyes landed on the envelope. It was plain, cream-colored, and resting precisely in the center of his desk. No name, no logo, just a small red sticker sealing the flap shut. He hadn't been in this office in over 2 weeks. He'd been traveling, closing a deal in Chicago. No one was supposed to have access to this room but his assistant, and she was out sick. He picked it up slowly, instinct prickling at the back of his neck. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, no signature. "They don't want you here. Watch your back. Check the books. Start with March 12th. No "Dear Malcolm." No clue who it was from. Just those chilling words. He sat down heavily in his chair, the gears in his mind already turning. March 12. That was the day the Atlanta deal closed. The day someone had transferred a large chunk of funds from their expansion account. He had brushed it off then, thinking it was just a mislabel. But now, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He stared at the screen. No name, just a number he didn't recognize. Against better judgment, he answered. "Hello." A deep voice replied, calm but urgent. "If you're reading the note, it's already started. Don't trust anyone in the building." The line went dead. Malcolm sat motionless, the phone still in his hand. The silence in the room felt heavier now, like the walls were listening. He placed the phone down slowly and turned to his laptop. Password entered. Secure system accessed. He navigated to the internal finance portal and pulled the ledger for March 12th. There it was, a $2.8 million transfer marked as Inventory Realignment, Chicago. But the receiving account was offshore, Cayman Islands, and the approval code came from a login that should have been inactive since January. His former COO, Greg Mathers, fired quietly for personal reasons, or so everyone thought. His heart pounded not with fear but focus. Years of building this company from scratch, from selling used Hondas out of a garage to a nationwide luxury dealership chain. He wasn't about to lose it to snakes in suits. He picked up the office phone and dialed a number he hadn't used in years. "Yeah." A gravelly voice answered. "Ray, it's Malcolm. I need a favor. Quiet and fast. Get me eyes on Greg Mathers and send someone to pull security footage from the main server." Discreetly. There was a pause, then the voice replied, "Understood. You want this cleaned up?" Malcolm's voice was steel. "Not yet. I want to see how far the rot goes." By the next morning, he had the footage. Greg had been in the building 3 times since his termination, each time using a stolen employee badge. And he wasn't alone. 2 senior managers, both long-trusted allies, had met with him late at night. Paper trails were hidden, backup systems wiped. Malcolm didn't call the police. Instead, he called a board meeting and showed every member the footage. The silence around the table was deafening. Some avoided his gaze. Others looked stunned. "I built this company to change the game for us. For people like me who weren't born into boardrooms or Ivy League circles," he said, voice calm but firm. "And I won't let greed turn it into just another boys' club with better cars." He paused. "I'm cleaning house." By the end of the day, the conspirators were escorted out. New security protocols were installed. Malcolm didn't fire everyone, just the ones who had forgotten who really owned the dream. That weekend, he returned to the showroom, this time wearing jeans and a hoodie, like he used to. One of the junior sales staff saw him and smiled nervously. "Mr. Carter, sorry about the other day. We didn't know." Malcolm waved it off. "You treated me like a stranger, and in a way, maybe I'd let myself become one." He paused, looking around the polished showroom. "That won't happen again." He walked past the cars, the sunlight glinting off the hoods, and out into the Atlanta air. Head held high, legacy intact, and now, with eyes wide open,